Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX with me, Devika Chopra. Top focus right now is Canada once again. Canadian Foreign Minister Melanie Joly has said that she does not have any information regarding India's request for extraditing Khalistani terrorist and one of India's most wanted terrorists, in fact, Arsh Dalla, following his recent arrest in Canada. Joly was speaking to reporters when she was asked about India seeking Canada's assistance for extradition of the Indian terrorist, and she stated that she cannot comment on any ongoing investigations but will continue to engage with Indian diplomats if there are any inquiries regarding this matter. Now, this comes after India has been requesting Canada time and again with extradition requests specifically for this man Arsh Dalla. Who he is, what is his rap sheet in India, I will get to that in just a moment. But first, let's quickly listen into that conversation between Canadian Foreign Minister Melanie Joly and some reporters.
Reporting that an Indian terrorist on their list has been arrested and charged in a shooting in Ontario. And there are reports that the Indian government actually reached out to Canadian officials about this man, about his presence in Canada, and asked for assistance. Is that the case in terms of what Canada did?
Okay, so first, I won't comment any ongoing investigation, and we will continue to engage with Indian diplomats if there are any inquiries regarding this issue. I don't have specific information about what you're referring to, but we will continue to have conversations at the foreign ministry level on, first, violence that can happen in Canada, and making sure ultimately that we're able to find a way, a path forward. And I've been also in contact with the Foreign Minister of India.
All right, viewers, so there you heard it. But time and again, India has now described this man Arsh Dalla as a fugitive in more than 50 cases of murder, attempted murder, extortion and terrorist activities, which includes terror financing. He also faces serious charges of killing Congress leader Baljinder Singh Balli in India through his terror network. In fact, it was in May 2022 when Interpol issued a red corner notice against Dalla, designated as a terrorist by India. Last year in July, India requested the Canadian government for his provisional arrest. However, that plea was denied despite extensive documentation of his crime network and activities provided by Indian agencies. All of this paperwork exists, this communication exists. But guess what Canada has charged Arsh Dalla with? Let's put that out on our screens as well. We have the 11 charges that have been framed by the Canadian police. I'm just going to quickly read them out. Discharging firearm with intent, unauthorized possession of prohibited firearm, careless use of firearm, contravention of storage regulations, possession of prohibited firearms knowing it is unauthorized, unauthorized possession in motor vehicle, possession of prohibited firearm with ammunition, tampering with serial number, unauthorized possession of firearm, rifle, unauthorized possession of firearm, shotgun, possession of prohibited device. Okay, so this is what the Canadian agencies have arrested Arsh Dalla for. Let me now tell you the information that India has shared regarding this man with Canada. He has collaborated with KTF chief Hardeep Singh Nijjar since 2018. Now, Hardeep Singh Nijjar was murdered, and remember, it was that very murder which resulted in the diplomatic tensions between India and Canada. So, he's collaborated with that Hardeep Singh Nijjar since 2018. He formed a terrorist gang in Punjab before fleeing India in 2018. He has sent extortion calls to Indian origin business owners in Canada, transferred large sums of money to gangsters in Punjab, and established a weapons smuggling network, used the dead drop technique by recruiting members and issuing funds from different countries, recruited a man to kill gangster Sukhma Lamme by injecting him with poison, involved in the murder of Paramjeet Singh, an electrician from Bardeke village involved with Nijar in 2020 in the murder of Manohar Lal, a Dera Sacha Sauda follower, involved in the killing of Jaswant Singh, a paroled murder convict in Gwalior, accused of ordering the 2021 murder of Kamaldeep Sharma, a Hindu priest in Jalandhar, involved in the murder of Baljinder Singh Bali, local Congress leader in Punjab's Moga. So that is India's understanding and investigation into this man Arsh Dalla, who's been arrested by Canada. And now you can very clearly see the context in which the Canadian government has arrested this man, and today what the foreign minister is saying. She was asked a very clear and simple question: will you now work with the Indian government on the extradition request that is pending? Firstly, the foreign minister, either she is not aware or she is pretending to not be aware of any such request. And secondly, a complete lack of clarity in what is to be done. Anytime Canada is asked a serious question, their response is, we can't comment on an ongoing investigation. Well, what do you expect then India to do? I'm going to take this conversation forward with Ambassador Manju Seth. I also have with me Surinder Singh Lali, Foreign Affairs expert, Professor Madhav Nalapad, the editorial director of the Sunday Guardian, and we have also with us, last but not least, Mrs. Seepal Singh, security expert, former IGP of Punjab. Let me begin this conversation with Professor Madhav Nalapad. Professor Nalapad, I've tried my best to, as quickly as I can, summarize what really is going on. In your assessment, for the Canadian Foreign Minister to now come out and say, we will still figure out a pathway forward, we're not aware of any extradition requests, who is Canada trying to fool, and should India now work at just putting out all of the conversation and information that has been shared with Canada and expose them in front of the world for their lies?
Yes, I want to say that you've given a very comprehensive series of criminal actions, but I also want to say that this foreign minister is known to be an India hawk, the way Trudeau is an India hawk. Now, normally, at least in this era, you have a lot of China hawks. Canada is one country where the ruling party has hardly any China hawks, as far as I can see. And at the same time, they have a huge number of India hawks, people who regard India as the main threat to global security and to the world and to Canada and to friends of Canada. In that context, let me tell you that the Canadian Foreign Minister is, I think, forgetful of the fact that she has made multiple statements against India. She has presumed India to be guilty in the absence of any concrete evidence, presumed several times, made some very unflattering remarks about India, and you can see the charges against Arsh Dalla. The man is known to be a killer, a murderer, a terrorist. There is ample evidence that has been given to the Canadian authorities by India. And what do they arrest him on? Illegal possession of firearms, illegal possession of vehicles. Look, illegal possession of firearms or illegal possession of vehicles is very different from murder, from extortion, from terror. And they are charging him on these very light offenses. The idea clearly is to ensure that he is released as soon as possible. Therefore, I mean, very, very honestly, I don't believe that they are at all going to extradite him. This government certainly not. I don't know about the next government, if it comes, or the next leader, if somebody replaces Justin Trudeau before the election. Because the reason is the India hawks in this government are neck deep in cahoots with people of this kind of Arsh Dalla's type, and they're neck deep in frankly, looking the other way, if you put it charitably, facilitating, if you put it in a slightly stronger language, acts of terror and violence against India. So they're not going to be in a hurry to have a star witness in an Indian court about the Canadian government's complicity in these matters. So, well, I'm not going to hold my breath about this deportation request, but the Canadian foreign minister saying that she was not aware of it, well, either she's extremely forgetful or she's frankly less than honest about her about what she knows.
Yes.
For a simple reason that several times this matter has been discussed with her colleagues in the government, and she has taken a very firm stand, and that firm stand is a stand of an India hawk in a country where the influence of China is so pervasive, and you don't see, very frankly, any China hawk. If there are some there undercover, they're hiding in Canada. So I don't expect this deportation anytime soon.
Yes.
And the reason is that they do not want to incriminate themselves in the activities of such gangsters. And when the gangsters kill each other, well, there's a convenient scapegoat for India hawk. And that convenient scapegoat is always India. Thank
Right.
you.
Ambassador Manju say, bringing you on that note, I want to understand from you. Now, Canada denying that India has ever really shared any serious information against this man, or that the foreign minister is not aware of his activities, can only mean one of two things. Either Canada is completely oblivious, or as Professor Madhav Nalapat pointed out, that somewhere Canada does not want to let the world know that yes, they have been allowing a man who is a declared wanted terrorist in India to continue living on their soil, and therefore they're trying to charge him with these sort of firearm possession and illegal vehicle possession sort of charges, which everybody knows that's your local gangsters that countries deal with. So which of the two is more likely? That somewhere now Canada just feels, are they ashamed somewhere, and is this an attempt to once again hide the true credentials of this man?
Question for me?
Yes, Ambassador Manju Sheikh.
Yeah, okay, because your voice was a little, wasn't clear. Okay. Yeah, absolutely, you're right that, and as Professor Nalapat has said, these charges on which he has been arrested are extremely, trifling in a way, and he'll get, easily released in court. The charges that India has been leveling, they're not even considering, they're not even listening. And this person has so many, and we've shared that evidence with the Canadian government. India has shared those, and now India has said we've made the extradition request, and she's very sort of conveniently pretended ignorant of the whole thing and just said, I'm talking to the minister. So, but the only plus point is that yes, she's talking to the minister, at least there is conversation going on, but the fact is that there's very little chance that this person will be extradited, because the way they unless there's a change in government, but already we have seen there's been a slight softening in their stand towards India a little bit, and a little hardening of the stand against these criminal gangsters, because I think of the change of regime in US. Probably it has something to do with it, and PM Trudeau also saying that all Khalistanis, all Sikhs are not Khalistanis and not supportive of Khalistan. So this was a statement which is quite surprising, because up till now they didn't even acknowledge that there were any Khalistani supporters, anti-India supporters in Canada. And this particular person, Dalla, I think he has been, there are a lot of gang wars and a lot of criminal activities ongoing, for which the Canadian government is refusing to take any action against them. I don't understand what kind of law enforcement they have. They do a hitting and beating of innocent people outside a temple in Canada, but they don't take action against criminals and other criminal activists and terrorists who have been declared terrorists by India, and we've shared these charges, we've shared the information with them.
Yes.
But they refuse to take any cognizance of that. So it is a very strange government that is functioning there. And as very rightly, I think I agree with Professor Nalapat that they have a lot of India hawks in the government and not the other side, the other country. And I think that is quite clear that they are being incited to some extent. And the fact that they go on talking about, and there was support from Khalistan supporting the NDP, the party for the government. And
Yes.
so it is on shaky ground. So that is another reason why I think they have been soft towards these elements. But I think it's going to bite them back someday.
Yes, Mrs. Sipal Singh, how, in your view now, how does India respond to the Canadian Foreign Minister simply saying that we will continue working with Indian diplomats, but we cannot comment on any ongoing investigation, because that really seems to be the only sentence that the entire Trudeau government has now learned to speak out anytime they're questioned on any sort of investigation related to terrorists harboring or harbored by Canada, information for which India has shared. Should India then put out some of the communication that we've had? Because here it really seems as though they're trying to, in a way, say that no, you're lying. We don't have any extradition request, nor have you ever shared any crucial information about this man with us. Yes, Mrs. Sipal Singh.
Yes. I heard the two speakers, the professor and the lady. I'm not going to comment on why, how, and what's the reason that Canada is behaving in this inimical manner with India. We know it very well. For the last few months, the relationship between Canada and India have worsened. The reasons attributed by each side are different. As far as Canada is concerned, it has earlier alleged that their citizen, maybe he was a Khalistan supporter, was killed with the connivance of some officers of the Indian government on the soil of Canada. That is from where the initial conflict or misunderstanding started. I definitely agree with the two speakers that why should Canada behave like this and that. Definitely, I agree that they have behaved in a very hawkish sort of situation going on. The terrorists are on their side, and yet no action has been taken by them as far as their extradition or as far as the Interpol notice, that Red Corner notice is concerned. I'm not going to get into that. I told you this is between the two governments, and why it is happening. We all know for the last 2 months how the situation has been deteriorating, how the position has been deteriorating, how the relationship have been deteriorating with the passage of time. The situation as it stands today, I'd like to emphasize on that. As I mentioned in one of the earlier interviews, this man, Dalla, has been arrested. He was arrested in a gun round, that there was some gunfight. That's what we were posed by them between the two people, and he got an injury, and he said that I have been injured by virtue of another gangster having attacked them.
Yes.
He named Vishnoi. That is not true, because the person, if Vishnoi had attacked, he will not attack on the bicep of a person and run away. I mean, this is something, just a bizarre situation that actually it only showed that they wanted to be arrested. They got arrested. They were in the hospital. They wanted a bail. Before the bail position could come out, it was revealed that he is there, and the Indian government took it up, the matter, that he should be sent to us. He's a known terrorist. So many cases are pending against it. Why is that? This is the situation where it's sad. Now my submission is that under the present circumstances, what is the position? There I yesterday mentioned that either the investigation should be done by the Canada police, and at least it should be minimum is that there are terrorists operating there. Irrespective of even a gunfight between the two, the terrorists are operating in their soil, and they should take their action. That's what as far as their investigations concerned. That depends how their investigation proceeds. As far as today's situation is concerned, today's situation is that their foreign minister has denied that any extradition case is pending with us, or any extradition case has been moved to us, or he says he is not in the knowledge of that. I like to submit that with the advent of globalization, with the increased interconnectivity between the states, or the countries, the to escape from the foreign land is not that easy. Ultimately, they have to come back because there's interconnectivity. But the question is, what is the relationship between the two? What is the legal position? Legal position is, A, I told yesterday also that as far as red corner notice is concerned, that has no significance, no legal significance. You go into red corner notice was just like a corporate created at the time of after the World War, and it was decided that.
But Mr.
between the
Seepa
police
Singh, I
organization-
understand that. I understand your points.
I'll come to second, extradition. Question is the extradition. Extradition proceeding is very, very difficult. Whether extradition proceeding are pending against him or not is not known. And our record, the India record has been very, very low. Out of every 3 fugitives, so far, the estimates are that we have been able to get 1. I mean, total, I'm saying. Out of 3, 1. That means we have been getting only 1/3 extradite to us. A. So therefore, it is not very easy. The extradition proceedings are not very easy. In brief, I want to say that as far as extradition proceedings are concerned, is a long drawn out process. Unless the other country cooperates with it. As far as red corner notices, it's not
Okay.
legal. Now,
Okay.
only question is, what are the relationship? And in view of this relationship, the Canada should not act in the manner in which it's acting. That is
Okay.
that is, I'm saying the moral position or bilateral relations which have deteriorated or the pressures from the other states.
Okay.
Question is, they know very well the terrorists operating in their land, yet they are keeping their eyes closed. That
Okay.
is the point.
Okay.
That is the point at issue.
Okay, all right. I want to bring in Mr. Surinder Singh Lali. Mr. Lali, is it there an embarrassing situation for Canada, or at least should India, whether the red corner notice does not work, extradition requests, we don't have a great history, but should we have at least continue then exposing the sort of criminal and terrorist elements that the Canadian government continues to harbor? And this is why I said, let's put out what we have against these people so that people know that we aren't making it up, that we aren't just making up stories about these people. Then it's up to the Canadian government to answer to their own people who are currently asking in Canada, why are you importing criminals from other countries? Then let Justin Trudeau continue digging his own grave the way he has been. But what can we do?
Thank you, Devika. And I'm going to make my argument more pointed and less technical because I'm not qualified to make it technical. But I'm going to give you 5 reasons why I feel that Canada is exposing itself with each passing day. Number 1, Harinder Soy, the Peel police officer who was involved in plainclothes earlier in Toronto and then outside the Brampton Temple in attacking. Well, even by the Canadian law under the section 176, it's a criminal offense. But guess what? He's been let off. Number 2, we've given up enough evidence against Sandeep Sandhu, who's currently serving in the Canadian Border Service Police, accused in the murder of Balwinder Sandhu, Shaurya Chakra winner, no action. Now, this is the best part, that when the attacks happened, out of the 338 member parliaments, barring Chandra Arya and Kevin Wong, who is an independent, none of the MPs in their criticism used the word K. When the K word, the K flags, the K narrative is all over the place. One doesn't need to be an investigative journalist or a forensic science expert to know the K narrative, but not even one parliament uttered the word K. That ought to give you an idea of how beholden they are. Number 4, the Peel police then asks the Canadian Hindus that please give us $100,000 to protect you. I mean, is this a marriage procession or a barat going on that, you're going through the hinterland where, people could come and rob you? They're paying taxes for it. So what locus does the police have asking $100,000 for simply giving you the right that ought to be your right? And then it even gets more bizarre. The Liberal MP Sukh Dalewal, I mean, he's spinning a narrative that Air India Kanishk bombing was, by the Indian government. I mean, so much so for that major report and all that going on. So I feel that this Arsh Dalla case is doing nothing else but exposing Canada by the day. Of course, one can make any irresponsible or a futile or a non-rational or a non-prudent argument, but this is what Canada is getting into by shielding him also. And Devika, what I feel that if the Canadian government wants this to be repaired, this could be their opportunity if this gentleman is, sent back. But I don't think even he's going to be sent back purely because even this trial is a closed trial. I mean, on one hand, the trial that we're facing in New York is an open trial, so everything is out in the open. But why are they keeping this trial closed? I mean, if they want to deny what is behind the scenes, obviously none of us know what's behind the scene. But I made a few points where, these people, and especially, there's a gentleman called Param Banks, who is accusing India of transnational repression and from the rooftops, and the the Canadian inquiry names even being on the Chinese payroll and as a Chinese agent. So I think this is an entire theater of the absurd. We can go into the technicalities and complicate the argument. Canada has dug himself into a deep hole, and instead of coming out, it's even digging more deep, which means you go more deeper. And they were trying to spin this Hindu-Sikh narrative, Hindu versus the Sikh narrative. Unfortunately, I don't see it that way. I see it Hindu plus Sikh versus the K narrative, because 95% of the Canadian Sikhs also do not subscribe to these elements. I mean, my last point is, even that day at the temple, attack inside the temple, 65% of the people getting their consular services for their pension happen to be Sikhs. So it's the fringe rogue who Canada is nourishing under the bogey of free speech. And I think there could be more than just Canada being involved in it. There could be the Southern Labor and crude geopolitics involved in trying to put India on the back foot for us not becoming an ally but becoming a strategic partner. Thank you, Devika.
Right, absolutely. Unfortunately, I've completely run out of time, but I thank all of our experts and panelists for joining us to take this very pertinent conversation forward. On that note, viewers, we sip into a very short break. See you on the other side.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.